The music ministry of David Trolley. Thank you, David, as usual. That was lovely. That was lovely. Thank you. And thank you, Bob and Kevin, for your work on video recording and Zoom operating, and Harry and David Morse for your work on the slides. And Ann, thank you for your wonderful announcements. And Don Morrill, thank you. Don Morrill asked me to remind you that requests for prayers are always welcome. Kevin's posted the prayer request link in the chat room, and you can always request prayer any day, any hour by going to the website and clicking on the link for prayer request and filling it in. Don or whatever chaplain is on duty that week will be very happy to call you back. And the chaplains all feel that it's such an honor to pray with you, and they thank you for your requests. And so here it is. Here it is, Easter Sunday. And I'm sitting here in a room with another person. That's unusual. I haven't done that in 2 years. I haven't had anybody with me here. So we're changing. We're moving back into some sort of normalcy. And I know we all say thank you for that. Because we're ready. We're just ready. We're ready to try to figure out what we are or who we are. Some of us are still trying to figure out who we are. So we honor that. We honor this newness. We honor getting back into the swing of things, into some kind of routine. We honor what's happened over the last 2 years. We take what we've learned from that and include that in our experience, in this human experience. We take it all and include it. And then we connect with that Christ within. We connect with the Christ within, and we know that we're safe, that we're sound, that all is well, and that we can go forward, that we are ongoingly renewed. And so Easter is a celebration. Easter, also called Pascha in the Aramaic or the Greek or the Latin, or it's also called Resurrection Sunday. It's a Christian festival and a cultural holiday commemorating the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, described in the New Testament as having occurred on the third day of his burial following his crucifixion by the Romans at Calvary. And this was around 30 AD. It's a culmination of the Passion of Jesus, preceded by Lent, or the Great Lent, a 40-day period of fasting, prayer, and penance. And you remember that that 40-day period of fasting comes from the story in the Bible of Jesus going out into the woods, out into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, however long that is, and letting go and renewing and restoring his faith and restoring his faculties and restoring his awareness of his oneness with the universe, of his oneness with God. And when he had done that, when he had let go of all of his fears, all of his trepidations, all of his worries, all of his concerns, he was renewed, he was refreshed, he was one with God, he was living in the moment in the Christ within. And so that 40-day period is very important, because anytime we can stop and take the time to let go of thoughts that are not serving us and allow ourselves to be refreshed, to create that vacuum, to create that emptiness that welcomes new ideas, new thoughts, new way of perceiving things, new ways of going forward. And so this Easter, we can also relate to its link to the Jewish Passover. Its origin, as explained in the Synoptic Gospels, the Gospel of John, Mark, Luke, and I can't remember who the last one was now. That's okay. I'm elderly. Oops, I'm not supposed to say that. By its origin, described in the Synoptic Gospels, both the crucifixion and the resurrection took place during the Passover. And so much of its symbolism and its position in the calendar, in our calendar, is related to the Jewish holiday, the Jewish celebration of Passover. And you'll remember briefly that in the Synoptic Gospels, it said that when the firstborn child of that the firstborn child were being killed by the emperor of Egypt, and God told the Jews to put a mark on their door, and that the killing would bypass all of the Jewish males. So the Passover, they would pass over the Jewish homes and would not kill the young Jewish children. And so they celebrate that. They celebrate the Passover, and we celebrate the resurrection. We celebrate the renewal of ourselves, of the Christ within, on Easter. And so it's very linked to Passover. And in most European languages, the feast is called by the words for Passover. In those languages and in the older versions of the Bible, the term Easter was the term used to translate Passover. Easter customs vary across the Christian world and include sunrise services, midnight vigils, exclamations and exchanges of paschal greetings, clipping the church, as said in England, and decoration and communal breaking of Easter eggs. And I said earlier about Easter eggs. Apparently, and it's the first time I've read this, maybe some of you know this, Easter eggs are a symbol of the empty tomb. And that's where we're going to be picking up our story in a minute, at that empty tomb. The Easter eggs and the breaking of the Easter eggs are the symbol of the empty tomb. And so we're having Easter eggs hunt. We're searching for Jesus. We're searching for what came from the empty tomb. And so it's very symbolic. It's very related to Passover. Additional customs that have been associated with Easter and are observed by both Christians and some non-Christian include Easter parades, communal dancing, the Easter bunny, and egg hunting. So if you're going egg hunting today, find one for me. Find one for me, a big chocolate one with a peep in the middle of it, okay? So let's talk about Easter. Don quoted a poem by Reverend Joy Weiler this morning in his chaplain time. And in our Release and Renew booklet, Reverend Joy Weiler wrote last week's writing about carrying the Christ. And she wrote this week's article in Release and Renew called Our Ongoing Renewal. And a little bit of what Joy says in her article is this. Letting go of thoughts of limitation may be a slow process, or it may be a sudden, intense experience that feels like fire or crucifixion. Letting go of thoughts of limitation may be a slow process, or it may be a sudden, intense experience. In either process, we can examine our belief system about resurrection. Do I truly believe there is an indwelling, eternal life infusing in my being? Do I believe that? Do I believe in the union with God mind and allowing the boundary between my limited self and my unlimited self to dissolve into oneness? Do I allow the union with God mind and allow that boundary that I set about my limited self, am I willing to let it be open and merge in God mind with my unlimited self? Am I open to limited possibilities available when I begin to live into the realizations received in moments of union with God mind? And so, in my realizations, when I am at union with God mind, am I open to the limitless possibilities? And Can I live into those possibilities? Am I willing to step into those possibilities? And lastly, Reverend Weiler says, have I let go of all that gets in my way of saying yes? Yes to my Christ consciousness. Yes to my ongoing renewal. Have I let go of all that gets in my way? All my stories, all my self-talk, all my old beliefs, all my old thoughts that are not serving me anymore. Our lives are made new to the extent that we have cast off limits created in our minds and have claimed the transformational power of spirit within us. And so, over the last 40 days in the Release and Renew meditation, we've done some work. And I know those of you that have been doing Lenten practice on your own have done some work as well. We've released the shadows of grief and sorrow. We released anger and blame. We release any need to complain. That's a hard one, watch out. We release any need to complain. I release old grudges and resentments. I release old grudges and resentments. Here's my favorite one. I release my habit of worrying. I release my habit of worrying. It's senseless. There's no reason for it. It only takes up time and wastes it. I release my habit of worrying. And our renewal, our ongoing renewal, I renew my patience and compassion. I renew inner peace by forgiving. I renew inner peace by forgiving. I renew my faith in divine order. I renew my awareness of abundance in my life. I renew my hope with the power of positive prayer. We've been doing that work, and you've been doing that work. We do it every Sunday. We do it in our classes. But I go back to, have I let go of what I need to let go of to go forward to my ongoing renewal? Have you let go of what you need to let go of for your ongoing renewal? Last week, we spoke of carrying the Christ. And if you remember, those of you who were here, I asked you if you remembered what we talked about last Palm Sunday. And then I reminded you that we picked up last week with the biblical story of the end of Jesus's human experience with him sitting on a donkey. Remember that? Jesus was sitting on a donkey outside of Jerusalem, and his followers were there getting ready to march into him at Passover. And so, David Trolley, where did we leave off last week?
Somewhere about here. Jesus Christ, superstar. Do you think you're what they say you are?
Yes, we did. Thank you, David. Do you think you're who they say you are? Who do you think you really are, Jesus? And what do you think you are? What do you think you are? They asked Jesus, do you think you're the King of the Jews? And he says, so you say. So you say. But maybe they were asking him the wrong question. Maybe instead of asking them, who do you think you are? Maybe they should be asking him, what do you think you are? What are you? You've all heard me refer very often to Imelda Octavia Shanklin, Reverend Shanklin's book on What Am I? And what I've referred to in the past is her chapter 9 on non-resistance. We talked about that last week. And I want to talk about, it's such a wonderful book. And if you're interested in it, it's out of print. But if you go to, Kevin, if you could put this in the chat, or Bob, truthunity.org, truthunity.org, and search for What Am I? Mark Hicks has the entire booklet in there. And I'm going to talk today from the first chapter in that book. Reverend Imelda Shanklin says, and I'm quoting her now for the next few minutes. What are you? What are you? What are you? Until you can answer this question promptly and correctly at any time that it is asked, you do not know yourself well enough to trust yourself, to be happy, to be assured of continued safety and well-being. Until you can answer the question promptly and correctly, what are you? What are you? Imelda tells this story, Reverend Imelda. I met an intelligent appearing, understanding young man, and I asked him, what are you? He looks puzzled. I repeat the question. Then he smiles pleasantly, thinking that I have not correctly worded the query. He informs me, I am Johnny Doe. And then to himself, in his own self-talk, he adds, 22 years of age, popular, law student, and a man you will hear from later. The answer that Johnny Doe gives me, says Imelda, and the elaborations that he makes to himself do not respond to the question that I asked. He, Johnny, has not understood the question. He has translated it from the impersonal to the personal. His answer corresponds to his lack of understanding. He has answered the question, who are you? Who are you? Not what are you? If you have been considering yourself wholly as a personal entity, you also will answer the question incorrectly when it is asked of you. The error in your mind which causes you to assume the who when you should recognize the what is the source of every misunderstanding in life that perplexes you. Let me say that one more time because that's quite a statement. The error in your mind which causes you to assume the who when you should recognize the what is the source of every misunderstanding that perplexes you. The personal is the scene, the body, the conduct, the situation. That's the personal world. The impersonal is the unseen, the spirit, the mind, the revelation. Your intention translates the unseen into the seen and makes the what of life become the who of life. You get it? The what in life leads you into the who of life. The personal, the who can be changed. Each of you have changed the personal many times, and you will continue to change it. I just took my hat off because personally, I didn't want to do my talk with my hat on. So I changed. I took it off, and you can see that I've changed my appearance. And I have to tell you that in my mind, even though it's probably not true, I feel a lot more ready to give my talk with my hat off than with my hat on. That's my personal self. That's my awareness of my physical being, my conduct, what I'm doing physically, what you can see. The personal life, now, even though he says it changes and you'll change it many times, this is not said to indicate reincarnation by any means. It's said to indicate the changes in body, conduct, and situation in every life. These changes make Baby Doe become Johnny Doe. They make Johnny grow successfully into a lawyer, a judge, a governor. In all of Johnny's changes of relationship to the world, only the who is concerned. Only the who is concerned. Who am I? The what is not affected. The what is not changed, is changeless. It is changeless. It eternally will be what it eternally has been. It eternally will be what it eternally has been. It is the divinity of which the disciple Peter said in a moment of insight to Jesus of Nazareth, "Thou art the Son of the living God. Thou art the Christ. I am the Christ. You are the Christ. I am the Son of the living God. And you are the Son of the living God." You are more connected than anybody I've ever met to God mind. That union has happened with you. You are the Son of the living God. Your Christ consciousness has melded. It's come in union with God mind, with the mind of everything, with all that is. And ideas come forth that you're able to grab onto. And when we're connected, when we've melded our mind with the personal mind with God mind, when we've got that union, we can express in right thinking. We expressed with our Christ consciousness. In the fact that the personal can be changed, in the fact that your personal can be changed, lies your hope of achievement. In the fact that the impersonal is changeless, lies your assurance of an attainable perfection in the realms of conscious being. Listen, in the fact that the impersonal is changeless, lies your assurance of an attainable perfection in the realms of conscious being. That connection. That connection. So from glory to glory passes the personal in its search for the peace-bestowing impersonal, which has its home in the heart of God. And so what is glory metaphysically? Glory is the realization of that divine union, that God and I are one, and that my personal me melds with my impersonal me. And every time I have that realization, every time I have that knowing, it's a glory. It's a glory. And from glory to glory, from every realization to the next realization, my personal self continues to search to find my impersonal self for another glory, to merge with God mind, to express in this human experience. That all sounds good, but how do I do it? That's always the question. How do I do it? How do I have ongoing renewal? How do I stay there? How do I stay open to my Christ? How do I stay open to letting go of what I've let go of during Lent? Have I finally let it go? Well, the first step is to really affirm and know your personal self. Realize it as your personal self and affirm it and love it. First, say, I feel the assuring presence of a vast good, a something indefinable but infinitely desirable. It draws me toward itself with an irresistible sweetness. In this feeling, you can sense that you are eternal. In this feeling, you can sense the eternal, changeless character of your being, which, in the language of spirituality, is called the spiritual you. As spiritual being, you have identity with God, with the universe, and because of identity, you feel the presence of God as a vast good. So you've identified this personal you, and you're aware that it brings a vast good with it. That is a good thing to have, this personal you, and you become very aware of it, and that awareness leads you into a higher awareness of your Christ self. Second, you say, I know, I think, I understand. And these declarations are evidence that you have mental character, that you think, you know, you understand. And thirdly, you say, my body, my circumstance, my life, These phrases show that you recognize a third state of being. This state is the physical you. So that defines our personal self, the assuring presence of a vast good, mental character, and the physical me, the physical me. And so we can use prayer to stay connected. We use prayer for that merging, for that melding of God mind and the personal mind. Prayer is not a posture. Prayer is not a given form of phrases. Prayer, then, is a relationship between you and God. That is a relationship in which you consent to receive from God, who always is on the giving side. You are God's manifest and manifesting ideas in this human experience. You, each of you, are God's manifest and manifesting ideas. And so remembering those three realizations that I just said, and knowing that we receive from God mind, we become open and receptive to receiving God spiritually. You become aware then of your spiritual identity. I am an idea of the mind of God. I let God's idea express in me. I am an idea in the mind of God, in the mind of the universe, in all that is. And I let the universe's idea, I let God's idea express in me. And receiving God mentally, receiving the universe mentally, I become aware of my mental identity. I am the mind of God. I let the mind of God inform me of my identity, that I am a child of God, a perfect child of God, a beautiful child of God in every way. There is no worthlessness about me. I am unlimited. I am available. I am receptive and open to all the good of the universe, to all this vastness. And in receiving God physically, you become aware of your physical identity. My body is the substance of God, the substance of the universe, manifesting in correspondence with the universe's idea. My body is the substance of God. I am the mind of God. I am an idea of God mind. So what are you? What are you? You're a spiritual being, having a human experience, always one with God mind, always, unchanging. Let's make this Easter Sunday a memorable Easter Sunday. Let's honor all those thoughts that we've let go of that don't serve us. And let's stay connected with God mind. Let's commit together to stay connected, to know that we're a spiritual being on a human experience. And then our ongoing renewal, our daily renewal, our minute by minute renewal is always available to us, and we can be open and receptive to receiving it. Put on your Easter bonnet and go out and have an Easter parade. Thank you for being here this Easter with me. God bless you. Amen.